the fact that he's creating a role model, especially for young kids who maybe, again, like you said, because they're maybe not much of a community, they don't have other people to go to seek for help or to seek for comfort. So making a face, making a role model for those kids is such an empowering impact for those who just need someone to lift them up and to tell them, hang in there, we got you, you're not alone.
Have you seen the finished copy of?
I have not seen the finished copy, but I am anxious. I am excited to get to see it when it comes out.
Well, I have one for you. I was with Michael yesterday, and he's like, "You're going to see Nicole tomorrow, right?" He's like, "Take her a copy of the book."
Oh my gosh! Oh yeah, this is so good.
The great thing about Disability Don't Mean Cant is that the title says it all. Disability Don't Mean Can't. And that's, in my mind, a powerful, powerful message, powerful phrase. And I hope that other people choose to own that phrase for themselves, and they can conquer their barriers that stand in front of them. Disability Don't Mean Can't. It's a fitness and motivational resource. We promote healthy living despite a disability, no matter what the ability level, and I've actually proven that. I've done many powerlifting competitions and a bodybuilding show, things that I was told when I was first diagnosed that I couldn't do, and I made it my goal. I happened to be a fitness instructor when I was first diagnosed, so I had the knowledge in the back of my head, but it just made me having somebody tell me I can't do something made me want to do it even more. And now through Disability Don't Mean Cant and DDMC Man, I can get that message out to other people.
And the goal is pretty much to just spread the message, is that he wants to make it more of a brand, not so much Michael Carter, but more of DDMC, something that everybody can latch onto. So I've been an athlete my entire life. I was a Little League football from the age of 6. I played competitive racquetball. I played baseball. I was a competitive cheerleader all through high school, and then I had a scholarship. I cheered in college before I was paralyzed. And even after I was paralyzed, I stayed in the gym. I tried to stay fit. Because that's kind of where me and Michael though kind of are alike in a sense, because his ataxia didn't hit him until later on in life. His ataxia didn't hit him until he was like partway through college, and so he was on his way to be a MMA fighter. He was on his way to be, he was doing all these. He's kind of in a similar background as I was. He was an athlete his whole life, and then, bam, his ataxia hit, and then everything started to change and whatever. And his whole scenario is completely different from mine. He has his own struggles and trials and tribulations he had to move over, but in that sense that we kind of felt that loss.
DDMC Man was created to be a larger-than-life superhero, to be an advocate for anybody's disability, whether it's ataxia, what I have, or it could be MS, or somebody that is an amputee, or maybe a total paralysis individual. But it's made in a way that if I choose to do a story in the future, DDMC Man could take on the role of whatever is needed.
So our partnership with Michael is specifically through Project Cheer, which stands for Community Health, Education, and Exercise Resources. And that is a state disability and health funded grant. It's the first time Kentucky's received this funding. And we were tapped into Michael by a contact. And so they said, you've got to know about Michael if you're talking about disability and health. And so I heard a lot about him, and I checked out his Disability Don't Mean Cant Facebook page and was really excited to get to meet him. And so when we first spoke on the phone and just talked about ways that we could work together, he mentioned Disability Don't Mean Cant Man. So when Michael talked about his Disability Don't Mean Cant alter ego and the comic book series he was starting, that's really what piqued my interest, to think about what a great way to engage an audience, to talk about what it means to have a disability and overcome those barriers, and then be successful at leading a healthy lifestyle. So the comic book sounded like a great place for us to start a partnership with Michael, because it was such a great opportunity to spread the message of disability awareness and inclusion within health in a fun and interactive format. I myself am not an avid comic book reader, but I'm a visual person. I love to see things that are bright colors and read stories that way. And so as we together talked through what that could look like, it really just took a life of its own. And then we identified 4 self-advocates within the community to be characters within the comic book. And in meeting with them and actually asking them, what type of issues do you experience in trying to be healthy in your community, and what does that look like? And so the story, again, it took a life of its own, because those are real people with real experiences in trying to access healthy nutrition, or a fitness facility that might have access barriers, or a young woman with Down syndrome that's in the comic book feeling left out of social engagements, to a party she wasn't invited to. Those are real experiences that they could pull from, that built that storyline. And then talking through, for our project here, what kind of resources do we want to provide the community to support them in being successful in being healthy or feeling included, and really promoting that inclusive aspect.
He reaches out to everybody and accepts everyone, and tells you that you shouldn't stand for what society or for what everyday people think about you because you're different. He has already had done a first edition of a book, and he wanted the drawing style to correlate and to flow into this next book that he was doing. I started sketching and tweaking some of my own style to correlate with the style of his previous illustrator. So even though my art, I tweaked it to look more like his previous illustrator, I was still able to keep certain characteristics, as well as the storyline my own and my personal style. To me, he just looked like everybody else, to be honest. I know growing up, being hard of hearing, yeah, I had to wear hearing aid, but I never really felt any different from the rest of my peers, from my sibling and everything. But I know with the stigma, some people on first interaction with me would treat me different, or mouth what they were saying a bit more, or feel less inclined to try and talk to me, just because of the little 5-year-old having big, bulky, purple hearing aids. And even still today, when people talk to me and they find out I'm hard of hearing, they're very, very surprised by it, because they don't often associate themselves with people with disabilities, or people who are hard of hearing, or people who may have some physical or mental conditions, because they just don't know what to do in those situations.
The way I envision DDMC Man is Disability Don't Mean Cant. I envision it going on after I'm not in this world anymore. And the message will still continue, and I'm sure there's an individual that will fill up my shoes. There's nothing special about me, but I'm doing my best to make a structure that will carry on my message after I'm gone.
Our episode 2, The Busting Down Barriers, is the first item in our bookstore for the Human Development Institute, which is really, really cool. And so I think that there's this hope that we can continue to broaden the message. Where our CDC state funding, we have a mentor state of New York, and they've already inquired about ordering 800 copies, and that's across state lines. So it's so incredible to think about that one story, one man's idea that turned into Disability Don't Mean Cant Man can really make an impact in all of these lives in a positive way. And I'd love to see that happen and then to see it continue to grow. I think that we all have our own type of disability, whether it's visible or invisible, or it qualifies on a medical chart or not. We all have things that we go through in our daily lives that give us obstacles or challenges. So I think we just need to learn as a culture to be accepting of everybody and encouraging of everybody, and know that we all have these incredible lives to live. We should do that together.